Howdy everybody, and welcome back to our channel. I'm out here in one of the two wooded areas that we have on the farm. This would be Zone 5 in permaculture language. We don't do anything here. We just let it grow wild. And I'm here for a specific purpose, because very soon we're going to have the emergence of the cicadas. They're extremely interesting and have fascinated scientists for centuries with their unique life cycles and ecological impacts. So let's get started. So we're right in the middle of the cicada season here. They typically emerge somewhere around March 31st or April 1st, and then they stay for between 3 and 4 weeks, and then they just kind of disappear. They also hearken the beginning of the wet season. So when the cicadas come out, we know that the wet season is near. Now, they'll be out any minute now. Cicadas like it hot. And so it's not quite hot enough for them yet. I can hear a few of them in the background here, but you won't get the full brunt of it for a little while. While we're waiting for the cicadas to emerge, I'm going to show you around. This tree here, a huge tree, is called a guanacaste. It's also called an elephant ear tree because its seed pods look like the ear of an elephant. Right next to it is a mango tree. They have a very characteristic leaf. It's very thin. You can see that there's some mangoes on this tree here. Of course, they're not ready yet. The mangoes are interesting in which they fruit very abundantly one year, and then the next year you don't get much at all. There's some dropping on the ground. You can see them. They're not ripe. Listen to that. The mating call of the cicada is about 100 decibels, sometimes more. Actually, I had to wait to make this video until about halfway through the cicada season here, so that the numbers of the cicadas would be lower and I'd be able to actually make the video. Otherwise, it's simply too loud. Even with that, I have to use a special program that reduces background noise so that you can hear me talk. It's that loud. I'm autistic, and sounds like this tend to bother me a lot, but I've trained myself to be able to be around it. So cicadas accomplish this very loud sound by vibrating a structure in their abdomen called a timbal, vibrating it very rapidly, and that's what gives the characteristic sound. The timbals are complex structures with alternating sections of thin membranous portions and then thickened ribs. And a good way to think about it is it's kind of like a concertina that the guy pulls out. The concertina has a membrane in the middle by thick ribs. Of course, the cicada, these are much closer together and they vibrate at a much higher frequency. The sound made by the timbals is amplified by enlarged chambers in their trachea, their throat, that act as kind of like a resonance chamber. Lena was able to capture this great footage of the cicada, and it's I've turned down the volume on the song so that it's not so ear-splitting, and he's in his interlude portion of the song where he's pulsing. In just a minute, he's going to stretch his abdomen. There he goes. You could see him stretching his abdomen way out. And now he's going back to the pulsing. And now it's back, big stretch of the abdomen again. They're doing this because they're trying to mate. And they have a one-track mind about this, because they have a very short period of time in which to be successful, and after that they die. When the cicadas emerge, that's the end of their life cycle. They have one more thing to do, and that's to mate. Now, female cicadas distinguish between the various songs that the male cicadas are making according to pitch, rhythm, and duration. So they typically like long duration as long as there's a variation in the rhythm. If there's no variation in the rhythm, they reject that. The females like a high pitch, and so the males are always pushing the vibrational capacity of their tymbals to try to produce the highest pitch. Together, the mating chorus of the cicadas, where we are here, hovers between an octave above middle C on the piano and C sharp, or 523 hertz to around 554 hertz. But the tone that is predominant, an octave above middle C. Apparently the cicadas have difficulty maintaining a hertz above that, but they're always trying to push it because the females like higher pitch. Now, this is not necessarily true for other parts of the world. Different species have different songs. This is what we have here. While the males are doing this, females will make clicks with their wings to either encourage the males that they like or to repel those males that they're not interested in. Let's talk about the life cycle for just a minute, because that's what's really fascinating about these insects. Cicadas synchronize their emergence in the spring. It's not well understood in science. You don't have cicadas popping out at different times. They basically all come out within about a month. And of course, those who come out late are going to be disappointed because a lot of the females will already have made it. So there's an encouragement for them to come out almost exactly at the same time. In temperate climates, some cicada species only emerge every 13 or 17 years. All the rest of the time they're in the ground as nymphs. Now you may notice that these are prime numbers, which is of great interest to me, of course. It's one of the reasons why I think that cicadas are so cool. In the tropics, we don't have that long waiting period. Cicadas emerge every year here in the tropics, and apparently what they do, the species that we have here, is that they still synchronize, but they only allow a fraction of their population to emerge each year. The cicadas synchronize the emergence, apparently, to avoid predators. This way, everybody emerges kind of at the same time, or if you're in the tropics, a fraction emerges at the same time. They overwhelm the predator population with their numbers, and enough of their numbers are able to survive to mate to ensure that the species continues. But what does this mean for the ecosystems that the cicadas inhabit? Let's explore some of the benefits and liabilities that cicadas have. Cicadas play a crucial role in the ecosystems that they inhabit. Their nymphs or juveniles tunnel through the ground, aerating it, much like an earthworm would. Their tunnels also become channels for water, so it helps to keep not only the ground aerated, but also moist, reducing runoff and erosion. Cicadas are a valuable food source for many predators, including birds. Cicadas also help growing trees by pruning dead branches. Cicadas lay their eggs on the branches of trees, and the weak branches will wither and die, something called flagging. And the tree benefits from this by not having to waste energy on maintaining a weak or a diseased branch. Cicadas also do trees and other plants a service by dying. They die in mass numbers at the end of the life cycle. So they not only synchronize their emergence, their death is synchronized over the period of about 3 weeks to a month. And their deaths release vast amounts of nutrients back into the soil. So they also have downsides. In some years, the sheer volume of cicadas can overwhelm predators, leading to population booms in subsequent years. And the feeding of the cicadas can also damage young trees. You might be wondering how cicadas are different from locusts. They're both insects that emerge in large numbers, right? Well, let's clear up some common misconceptions about that. While cicadas and locusts may seem similar, they actually are quite different. Locusts are a type of grasshopper and they can change their behavior and form swarms under certain conditions. Cicadas, on the other hand, do not form swarms and do not undergo such changes. In addition to that, locust swarms can devastate crops, leading to serious agricultural damage. Cicadas, while they can harm young trees sometimes, do not pose the same level of threat to agriculture. And that's a wrap on my kind of deep dive into the fascinating world of cicadas. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.